Today, let's take a look at this new proposed Virginia congressional map. It's got to go through a process before it's actually enacted, but this is a brutal map for the Republicans. Dems pretty much held nothing back here. So we'll see what's going on here. We'll look at the current map, what a fair map might look like, as well as the new map. So first of all, Virginia does have an independent commission that draws the maps. Before that happened, Republicans did have an unfair map of their own, but now this is going in the extreme opposite direction. There's 11 congressional districts here. There's currently 6 Democrats and 5 Republicans. And over the years, I've reviewed every congressional map, including the new ones. And as far as how well the map reflects the partisan lean of the state, Virginia has consistently ranked as one of the best maps in the U.S. This, of course, is going to change things. So Dems had a great November. They've got a trifecta in the state. And it looks like they're not going to let that go to waste. So assuming this map goes through, first of all, there's going to be court challenges. After that, there's an April referendum where the voters are actually going to decide if they want to do this. Then if it happens, this is supposed to be temporary, and then the independent commission comes back in next decade. But if they already did this, I don't see why they'd want to go back to the commission in the next census. So ultimately, this would flip 4 seats in favor of the Dems. And that's in a state with 11 seats. There's not 30 or 40 to play with. So will the referendum pass? You can never be sure of it. But given the success of the Dems in November and how they're more motivated, I would guess it's going to pass. But because this does go to such an extreme, there's going to be a little bit more doubt. Now let's glance at what the current map looks like. So again, it's 6 Dems, 5 Republicans. Most of the blue vote is concentrated around Nova, but not all of it. Republicans are going to dominate in the western part of the state. That's deep red territory. So I don't think we need to deeply analyze the current map. But again, after analyzing every map with objective data, Virginia comes out in that top tier of balanced congressional maps. So everybody's going to do it a little bit different. But if you want to try to gauge what a fair or balanced map might look like, let's start at the top in the recent presidential election. So now it is a blue leaning state, unlike 20 years ago. Harris got it, but it wasn't a convincing margin. It was by less than 6%, not even 52%, Trump at 46. So just based on this alone, that's a lighter shade of blue. Now it's just one election back in 2020, Biden won it by 10 points. But already you can see how the current map seems to fit in here. 6 Dems, 5 Republicans, that seems to match up pretty close. Now here's the congressional election, also for 24. The statewide popular vote has the Dems at 51.4, Republicans 47.6. That's actually getting close to 50-50, but Dems are still going to have the clear edge. And down here you can see that Dems have 54.5% of the seats, Republicans 45.5. That's close to these numbers above. But again, it's just one election. What about 2 years earlier in 22? Well, it's actually kind of the same thing. Dems at 51.6, Republicans at 48. What about in 2020? Well, that one is also right in the same ballpark. Dems at 52.2, Republicans 47.4. In that election, Dems came out with 7 seats, Republicans 4. But still, the statewide popular vote here has been consistent for the last 3 elections. Now, the last blue wave in 2018, then it was a little bit different. Dems were at 56.7. That lines up much more with what we just saw in the November elections. But one thing to keep in mind with this is, one Democrat was unopposed here in the 3rd district. So Republicans lost out on some more vote. That would have made it even more competitive. But the recent elections seem to indicate it's a blue leaning state, but it's not at all overwhelming. So before we get to the new map, let's see how these districts are going to be changed. Well, in the 1st district, it was 4.9% red. Now it's going to be 7.4% blue. The swing district in the 2nd, that was extremely competitive. Now that's going to be just a little bit bluer, probably enough for the Dems to be able to flip it outside of a red wave. The 3rd gets slightly redder, but it's overwhelmingly blue. The 4th is about half as blue as it used to be. The 5th was double digits red. Now it's almost double digits blue. But look at the 6th. This was clearly a red district. Now it's going to have a blue lean to it. The 7th has been reinforced. That's going to be a little bit bluer. The 8th is a lot less blue, but still way into double digits. The 9th is the only district Republicans are going to have. They're all packed into just one. That's going to be extremely red. The 10th will be a little bit bluer, and the 11th, less blue, but still completely for the Dems. So this is a dramatic overhaul of this map. So which Republicans would be getting the axe? Well, here's the list. In the 2nd, Jen Kiggin, the swing district. She's done. Also, Rob Whitman, John McGuire, and Ben Klein. They're all not going to be able to survive the new map. The only one that would make the cut here is Morgan Griffith in the extremely red district. And let's get on Dave's redistricting and take a look at the new map. At a glance, it does look like there's a lot of red territory here, and there is, but most of that is more sparsely populated. But let's toggle on the colors here and take a look at what we've got. Now, I don't think anybody would deny this is an extreme gerrymander. Most of these districts very ugly. The 7th here looks like a scorpion. And there's a lot of districts here that snake up into Nova to really capture a lot of that blue vote and then spread it out and dilute the red vote. It's not near Nova at all. If we toggle this, you really get a clear sense of how gerrymandering actually works. There's a ton of population here right outside of DC. All you gotta have is these districts just capture part of it, then spread it out into that red territory, and you're gonna have a blue-leaning district. It is pretty gross, it's pretty unfair, but that's what we're looking at. We've seen other states do similar. But at a glance, if this map actually happened, this would be way up there with the most unfair maps in the entire country. It would go from maybe the best to one of the worst. The gerrymandering is pretty much on this entire map. You can see the same thing down here. Take a look at the shapes of some of these. And we've seen it in Texas, we've seen it in Florida, we've seen it in other states as well. But what about the one Republican district? Well, that's going to be this one way out here, the 9th district. It's going to be so red that it would pretty much be impossible for a Democrat to win there under any circumstance. So I don't want to spend too much time going over every single district and how crazy this map is. Dems really pulled out all the stops here. And if we look at the partisan lean of the entire district, this is what you've got. The one extremely red one, a couple of lighter blue ones, but all the rest of these are clearly going to be held by the Democrats. And the bad news for the Republicans is this is expected to be a blue-leaning year. With that said, this is pretty much a guarantee of what it would result in. Now, in this map, in a red-leaning year, Republicans could pick up one, maybe two of these seats. But that's in the best-case scenario. There's so many gerrymanders out there, some of them far worse than others. The ones I've seen where the Democrats go all out, they really don't hold back. The most unfair maps in red states are going to be North Carolina or Texas. For the blue states, it was already California and Illinois. The new California map takes it up a couple notches. But this Virginia map is right in that conversation as well. 11 districts, Democrats would control 91% of the seats. And you saw in the recent elections, it's not that blue of a state, although in 25, it did look a little bit bluer than normal. The only thing I hope this leads to is some kind of national legislation on partisan gerrymandering. So we'll see if this thing actually takes effect or not. But that's what we've got here in the new Virginia congressional map. So let me know in the comments. What do you think of this map, independent of the other states? Is this one of or the most unfair you've ever seen? Do you think the referendum is actually going to pass? What about any court challenges? And what do you think a fair map should look like? My guess is going to be probably the current map. But let me know what you think down below on your way out. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join if you'd like to support the channel. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.